Hello, today we are with Mr. Arthur Lenk, the Director of the Israel Foreign Ministry's Department of International Law. We're going to speak to him about the newly released update on Israel's investigations into the Gaza operation. Mr. Lenk, why did Israel publish this update?
This is actually Israel's second update. It follows documents that Israel published in July 2009, where Israel put out its legal and factual framework for the events in Gaza, and then an update regarding Israel's investigations that was published last January. And so this is the second update into Israel's investigations and looking into allegations.
Mr. Lenk, what is new compared to previous updates?
In this document, during the last 6 months, Israel opened 11 new criminal investigations, bringing a total of 47 criminal investigations into allegations of violations of Israel's international law responsibilities. In one of those cases, 2 soldiers have been indicted on the charges of forcing a Palestinian child to open bags. The child wasn't hurt, but the soldiers clearly violated orders and their legal obligations. In another instance, once a soldier is alleged to have shot a Palestinian civilian, and these 2 cases are in addition to an earlier case where an Israeli soldier was convicted of looting. So in a number of cases, Israeli soldiers are being held under Israeli law to responsibility under international law.
So what are the sources of these complaints and allegations?
Well, some sources could be the soldiers, other soldiers. Some are international reports. Palestinian civilians themselves, or Israeli or international NGOs and reports that they publish also can be sources for Israel learning about potential allegations and violations.
So who gives testimony in these investigations?
Well, often it's Palestinian civilians themselves and the complainants. People from Gaza who are with cooperation with Israeli NGOs or with their Israeli attorneys are brought to crossing points, and they meet with Israeli military investigators and give their testimony.
So has the Israeli army made any changes in policy based on these investigations?
Well, it's interesting. There are lots of lessons learned, and Israel's army has internalized it. While the IDF has always been concerned for humanitarian considerations, there are some things that were raised and the standards needed to be even further increased. One example is that with every brigade, there's going to be a humanitarian officer that's going to be specifically responsible and tasked for being concerned for humanitarian concerns in future battles. Another example of a new lesson learned is that the chain of command, the decision-making process, when decisions need to be made regarding humanitarian property, is going to be raised up and was reanalyzed and updated by the IDF.
So do Israel's investigations meet international standards?
We believe they do. One additional way of looking at this is that the Turco Commission, the commission that was formed by the government of Israel to be led by a former Supreme Court justice following the events off of the coast of Israel in the end of May, is also going to look into the mechanisms for examining and investigating complaints and claims in relation to the laws of armed conflict. And so the Turco Commission is going to look into that question, and it will be interesting to see what they come up with. And that's another way for Israel to be able to stand up proudly and emphasize the fact of our legal system and our willingness to look and ask ourselves the toughest questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lenk.